There are thousands of sports cars that have been created throughout automotive history. Some had massive engines, incredible horsepower, and technology that pushed the limits of what cars could do. But one of the most beloved sports cars ever made started with almost everything working against it. It was small, it was slow, it didn't have a powerful engine. And when Mazda revealed their idea for a lightweight convertible sports car, many people wondered if anyone would actually buy it. By the late 1980s, the classic roadster was becoming a forgotten idea. The cars that once represented pure driving enjoyment were disappearing. They were often unreliable, uncomfortable, and difficult to live with. Most manufacturers were moving toward faster, heavier, and more powerful cars. The future seemed to belong to cars with bigger engines and more technology, so Mazda had a risky idea. Instead of following the industry trend, they wanted to bring back something that many people thought was already dead. A simple sports car focused entirely on the feeling of driving. But there was a problem. A fun car wasn't enough. Mazda needed to convince people to spend their money on a car that, at least on paper, didn't seem impressive. It wasn't the fastest. It wasn't the most luxurious. It wasn't even trying to compete with the powerful sports cars of the time. So why would anyone want one? The answer came from an idea Mazda called Jinba Itai, the feeling of a perfect connection between driver and machine. But creating that feeling would not be easy. The project faced uncertainty, skepticism, and the challenge of proving that a small, affordable roadster still had a place in the modern world. Because before the Miata became a legend, it was just a risky idea that many people believed would fail. But every legend has to begin somewhere. For the Miata, it didn't begin with a sketch, a prototype, or even an engine. It began with a question. What makes a sports car truly fun to drive? At the time, the automotive industry seemed convinced that the answer was simple. More power, more technology, and more speed. But not everyone agreed. Among them was an American automotive journalist named Bob Hall, who had spent years studying some of the world's greatest sports cars. During a conversation with Mazda executives in the late 1970s, Hall proposed a surprisingly simple idea. Instead of chasing horsepower, why not build a lightweight roadster? A car inspired by classics like the Lotus Elan, but without the constant breakdowns and reliability issues that had become synonymous with British sports cars. At first, it sounded almost unrealistic. Sports cars were becoming larger, heavier, and more expensive. Manufacturers were investing in turbochargers, electronics, and increasingly complex engineering. A tiny two-seat convertible seemed like a step backward, yet something about the idea stuck. Years later, when Hall joined Mazda, the company decided it was finally time to explore whether that dream could become reality. But there wasn't even an agreement on what the car should be. Mazda's design teams began developing completely different concepts. One proposed a traditional front-engine, rear-wheel drive layout. Another experimented with front-wheel drive. A third explored a mid-engine design. Each one promised something different. Only one would become the Miata we know today. And choosing between them would shape one of the most successful sports cars in automotive history. A front-wheel drive layout would be cheaper to build and more practical. A mid-engine design offered incredible balance and performance. And then there was the simplest option of them all. A front-engine, rear-wheel drive roadster. On paper, the front-wheel drive concept made the most sense. It was less expensive to produce and fit the direction many manufacturers were already taking. The mid-engine design was exciting, but it would have pushed the price far beyond what Mazda had planned. It risked becoming a niche sports car instead of one that anyone could afford. That left the front-engine, rear-wheel drive design. It wasn't the cheapest idea, it wasn't the most technologically advanced, but it delivered something the other concepts couldn't. Balance. With the engine placed in the front and power sent to the rear wheels, the car responded naturally to every steering input. Every corner felt predictable. Every shift connected the driver to the machine. It captured exactly what Mazda had been searching for: the feeling of Jinba Itai, horse and rider moving as one. Once the decision was made, engineers became obsessed with removing anything that didn't improve the driving experience. Weight was the enemy. Every kilogram mattered. Instead of chasing horsepower, Mazda chased simplicity. The steering was designed to communicate every bump in the road. The manual transmission was engineered to have short, satisfying throws that encouraged drivers to shift just for the joy of it. The suspension was tuned to inspire confidence rather than fear. And perhaps most importantly, the engineers resisted the temptation to add unnecessary power. They believed that a car you could push to its limit was far more enjoyable than one that constantly pushed back. But there was still one final challenge. Even if Mazda built the perfect lightweight sports car, would anyone actually buy it? The answer would come on February 9th, 1989 at the Chicago Auto Show, and it would change the company's future forever.
It may have been 30 years ago, or just yesterday, a roadster caught your eye, and you've never been quite the same.
Mazda finally revealed the answer to the world. At the Chicago Auto Show, the small roadster that many people thought had no place in the modern automotive world was unveiled for the first time. At first glance, it didn't look like a revolutionary sports car. It wasn't aggressive. It didn't have massive air intakes, a powerful engine, or the intimidating presence of an exotic car. Instead, it looked simple, and that was exactly the point. Mazda wasn't trying to create a car that scared people. They wanted to create a car that invited people to drive. When people got behind the wheel, they quickly realised that the Miata's numbers didn't tell the full story. With only around 115 horsepower, it wasn't winning races against high-performance cars in a straight line. But the moment the road started to twist, the Miata showed what it was built for. Its lightweight chassis, balanced handling, and responsive steering made even normal roads feel exciting. Drivers weren't just controlling the car, they were connected to it. The response from enthusiasts was almost immediate. People who had been missing the simplicity of classic roadsters finally had something new. But unlike the old British sports cars, this one started every morning, handled predictably, and didn't require constant repairs. The Miata wasn't successful because it was the fastest car on the road. It was successful because it made driving feel special again. But Mazda had created something they didn't fully expect. They didn't just build a car, they created a platform. A car that owners would modify, race, customize, and make their own for decades to come. And as the Miata gained popularity, a new question began to emerge. How could a car with such modest performance become one of the biggest icons in the automotive world?